Welcome to Vegas Programmers. Today is a little light because my fault again. Although I did update the meetup on time, I somehow, once the meetup.com update happened recently, I don't know if anybody noticed, like meetup.com actually got updated for a change. I lost Las Vegas software developers, which was Mike Zisflow's old group, and someone took it over. Again, by the way, this happened just like 2 or 3 months ago. Like, I don't know, I'm living in a weird secular hell right now with that situation. So I emailed Meetup. They're like, basically, good luck. You got to talk to the person who took it over, which I did, and he's not responding. But there's no Meetup server anyway. I think that fractured what's going on here. So what I guess I'm getting at is make sure that you're on Vegas Programmers on meetup.com, because I have no control over what's going on the other one now. And if he does create a meetup and tried to sneak that away from me, I will be showing up at that meetup. So today we have a very special guest, Scott Scoble. Round of applause. Thank you very much, Scott, for offering to do a talk. I'm sorry that like every month we're doing AI talks, but AI is like changing every month too. So he did, but I actually was like, I'm just using it so much that if I can pluck that, 10% that I didn't know, it could really help out, right? In fact, I'll mention something I heard at the end too that I'm actually putting into some slides because I'm going to Longhorn this week. And again, something new that I didn't know that I'm like throwing in last minute slides and stuff. So anyway, AI is one of those things that you just got to keep on top of, and it's very powerful. So we're going to break this into 2 different sessions. We're going to have long format talk here by Scott. He's going to be presenting Beyond the Prompt, Lessons from Building with Claude Code. So he's going to be talking about Claude Code. And I'm super excited for this because, again, like I like seeing the ways other people use it. It seems like each person kind of has their own flow. Some people throw stuff in the ChatGPT, take those plans, put it into Claude. Some people just use Claude, period. All the MCPs out there, it's a lot to deal with. So I'm curious, how you're using it and stuff like that. And then I'm going to be doing a little Docker 101 that we had a request from last month. I'm glad you're here, because if you didn't show up, I wouldn't have been doing the talk. I did not put slides, but I will be showing my laptop, Docker, and answering questions and actually showing you, which I think will be more helpful than just like saying, read the slides, right? So without further ado, we'll kick it off to Scott, and then I'll do all the announcements at the end. So take it away.
Where do you want this thing?
Just clip it right there, that guy here. Let me get this.
Sure. You know where you want it.
I have it the wrong way.
All right. Great. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to share a true story about one of the development processes or interesting things that happened to me with Claude Code just a few weeks ago. And especially with skills coming up that was just released, and then today there's some additional things from Anthropic, but we're not going to get into those. We're going to talk specifically about Claude Code, skills, sub-agents, and a behavioral assurance platform that I'm building for OpenTelemetry. I'm calling it Fluo right now, but that name's probably going to change because that's a terrible name. So who am I? I'm a senior software engineer currently at OneBrief, and we are hiring. That QR code can get you connected with our careers page, so please scan it, please apply. Building Fluo, which is basically it takes OpenTelemetry traces and it creates behavioral signals from them. And then for that, I'm also building a high-performance write-only database. So that one's going to be interesting. Don't have a name yet. So I guess we'll just jump right into the chaos. Write-only database.
How do you know it's working? Is it a worm database?
It's a worm, yeah.
Read-many, write once?
Yeah, you can't update it.
Yeah.
It's write-only, yeah. Well, worm, write once, read many. So,
It's not write only.
I know. I'm just, It's a troll on the people at work because they're like, read only this, read only this. I'm like, I'm going to make something write only. So it's just a troll for work. So over the past few months, I've been building Fluo, where users can write custom rules using OGNL to match patterns with in telemetry traces. But there's kind of a scary part of that, and their code, those scripts actually run in my JVM. So they could access our database or call our APIs or exfiltrate data. I mean, I'm sure we all remember Log4j. That's kind of my concern. How many of you guys actually have customer code running on your servers? You do, okay. Well, that's the problem. When I asked Claude Code how we could have these conditions, or how we could have these conditions running inside our JVM, but with a sandboxing strategy, Claude went ahead and compacted the conversation again. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Claude really can only act on what it knows, and space is limited. It can't know everything at once. So we have our first problem in this session with Claude. And that's context window economics. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the context problem and see if we can find any solutions. So how much documentation does your project have? Can it all fit into Claude's context window? Do you guys use ADRs? Give Claude access to that? Fluo itself has 15 ADRs. It's complex. It uses Nix. It uses Quarkus, React. It has a custom DSL. And since I'm basically a team of one, I'm using Claude to take the personas of like a PM, SecOps, SRE, all these other personas. So when I load everything in there, it's about 75,000 tokens. The context window is just gone, just completely gone. The AI doesn't even start. It compacts the conversation every couple of times. I'm going to ask it a question. So it's just not useful. The solution is called progressive disclosure, and it's built into Anthropic skills system. So the first level is just metadata. It's the name and description, uses about 100 tokens. It's always loaded. And this is how Claude knows what expertise is available to it to use. The second side are instructions. And this tells Claude when to use the skill. It's about 1,000 tokens, but it only loads when Claude determines that it's relevant. And the third level on this is resources. These are detailed checklists, threat models, code examples. It's pretty much unlimited size, and it's never loaded into the context. It's accessed on demand. So in this 3-tier system, this is why I can have like 10 skills, 7 sub-agents, and I'm only using 1,700 tokens up front instead of 75,000. So here's where we started. We loaded all the ADRs up front and exhausted our token budget. I was compacting every 3 or 4 requests, like I said. With skills and sub-agents, now I'm down to about 1,700 tokens for all the metadata. When 2 or 3 triggers, based on the task, you add about 3,000 or more. So basically, we're getting about 5,000 tokens for full guidance through Claude. And that's multiple sub-agents and also skills. It's a lot cheaper. It's about 95% reduction. And it's also about 97% faster because there's a lot fewer tokens going to Anthropic. But the real win isn't just speed. It's actually preventing waste. So here's a quick gut check. Count all your functional documents in your head and multiply by about 1,500 tokens. That's how large the context you're using. So if you're over about 10,000 tokens, you're going to need this structure. So let me tell you why this matters. And we're going to go back to the sandboxing for this code running in my JVM. So I want to build a dream team of sub-agents. And I want these sub-agents to help me develop, because I can't do it all on my own. I'm a decent developer, but I'm a terrible PM. SecOps is kind of secondary, and I have a lot of other things going on, like family and whatnot. I need Claude doing its thing. So the first thing is an implementer. This is the first team member. The agent wants to ship fast. And the solution that the implementer had to the problem is use Java Security Manager, and it gave me an estimate of 2 weeks. Now this is AI time, If you ever work with Claude Code, you know it gives you stupid estimates, and this is the estimate it gave me. I'm like, okay, 2 weeks, whatever. Sounds good. So would you ship this with Security Manager, just with one response? No? Good. I almost did. But I had another persona. This is the architect. The architect agent spoke up. And he's like, hey, Security Manager isn't even available anymore using Java 25, not 17, when it got deprecated. And it also has vulnerabilities, so you should probably not use this. I'm like, all right, well, the architect saved my butt. Now I don't have to use tokens that are useless. I don't have to develop anything that's going to get redone. So right now, subagent just saved my butt. What about security? Security's like, Security Manager has known vulnerabilities. There's a reflection bypass. There's no resource limits. A malicious rule could actually DOS my entire system with OGNL. So it gave it about a 3 out of 10 security rating. So it's basically, you cannot do this. So that's the value of having a security expert before writing even any code. The next one is QA. QA is going to tell me about attack simulations, performance regressions, multi-tenant isolation, etc. And it demands tests. And it's saying it's going to add a week for 95% coverage. Of course, it's AI time. But the implementation specialist is like, hey, none of these people are agreeing with me. But the product manager hasn't even weighed in yet, because we do have a product manager. So the project manager is evaluating the trade-offs between all the different suggestions from the subagents. Now, obviously, time in AI speak isn't real, it's relative. But option A looks pretty terrible. So we've got, 2 weeks no, 10 weeks to rewrite because the thing's not really available. We got security issues. 6 months time. Probably take a week with Claude, but still, 6 months is pretty bad. The next thing is, once we had this capability-based security with everybody chiming in, it gave us a 10 out of 10 security score. I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. Let's go with that. So finally, the project manager looks through the lens of total cost and customer value. Math is obvious. 4-week investment now, say 6 weeks later, get a 10 out of 10 security instead of 3 out of 10. So how long did it take this collection of agents to implement the final design? It obviously didn't take weeks. It took about 3 days of chats. So that's about 6 hours of my time. It was pretty good. The sub-agents made the hard decisions and explained why, told me why. And then Claude Code just implemented them. So all the context was generated by the sub-agents and the skills that they had access to. And then it was really easy for Claude to just implement. There's a custom AST, a custom DSL, things like that. So they caught the Java 17 deprecation, security vulnerabilities, testing requirements, and total cost of the system. So kind of the takeaway from this first section is, think about your project. What's the one thing that AI always gets wrong on your project? What's the thing that Claude Code just doesn't understand? For me, it was always suggesting Python dependencies when we wanted pure Nix for builds, because I'm a Nix guy. For you, maybe never use eval, never call eval on strings, or always validate user input, or follow naming conventions. Whatever it is, you can create a skill for it today, just one, put it in a .skills directory, add some YAML front matter with a clear description, give it some metadata. It's cheap on tokens, and it helps Claude tremendously. Then you can ask Claude Code to work on something that would normally violate. Watch what happens. Claude will follow the skill automatically and not violate the rule. So try with one skill, see how it works, and then expand it to another. So before I get into the next part, do we have any questions?
Which agent suggested they approach me?
Well, I chose it because we got the 10 out of 10 security score. Also, it was a lower time investment from the product.
Who came up with that approach? Which agent recommended the approach?
It was the security agent.
The security agent.
and then the implementation agent came in behind it with something more specific. So what happened was the security agent added some context to it, and the implementation agent came back as like, hey, using that as an idea, then here's how I would do it. Yeah, I did. It actually turned out to be not a sandbox, but an AST for custom domain-specific language. So, no, it's definitely not Turing complete. It's very specific to Fluo itself. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be Turing complete. Yeah. Anybody else? Cool. So let's get into specifics. So that's the pattern. That's how it worked for me. So now let's dive in a little bit deeper. So we're going to build the dream team. We're going to have an implementer. How do we build it fast? Like how do we get these things efficiently done? You have an architect. How does this fit our core principles? How does it fit my ADRs, my SOPs, any other functional documentation that you have? Security, what could go wrong? This is the pessimist and paranoid one. And then you got products, like, hey, is this worth building? Do our customers really need this? And you don't have to start with all of them. You could do implementer plus one other. I'd recommend security, but that's because I'm as paranoid as the security agent. But if you like, you can start with architect or product to see if you actually have a product worth investing in. So here's the structure of a sub-agent. So at the top we have some YAML front matter, gives the name of the agent, the role, and when to use it. Below that we have identity, which is the personality and focus of the agent. Below that we have some constraints. This is like when you should do something, or always do this or never do that. And some additional constraints at the bottom. Response formats, like always state the architectural principle that we're following or not following. So for the architect, you're going to want to make sure, hey, this is the ADR that applies to this request, or you don't have an ADR that applies to this yet. Do you want to make one? That kind of stuff. So that's their sub-agent. Next is a skill. So this one is a Nix HTTP server. Basically, it's using, I don't want to get, it uses Caddy in the back end, but for this particular skill, what we're seeing is like never suggest Python dependencies, because personally I hate Python, and all dependencies must come from Nix packages, and then we're going to use Caddy specifically, and then anti-patterns at the bottom, some specific things like, hey, do this or don't do that. Really cool thing is it's under 200 tokens for the metadata, and the full details load only when triggered. So the evaluation loop. This is a specific workflow that every feature that I'm working on goes through. So the implementer, I'll ask the implementer proposing a solution to a problem. The other sub-agents review that solution, that proposal. So basically all the conflicts, they come up early. They come up within 10, 15 minutes of even touching the problem. And then I just decide, build, redesign, or skip. I can ask the implementer to, hey, tweak it a little bit, give me a solution that is a little bit different or addresses the security problems. Cool thing, it takes about 10 minutes. And then days to weeks of waste are prevented. So after the code is written, conflicts are expensive, and then the sunk cost fallacy kicks in. So you want to avoid that if you can. So go ahead.
Is there a way you find yourself addressing the similar are the same wrong solutions continue to be brought up time and time again that you're having to tell it, don't do that, like go a different route, like go through this 6 times already, don't use that pattern or something? And
So,
is there a way to avoid that outside of, I assume, putting it in metadata of the sub-agent, maybe?
So if I understand your question, it's basically, is there a way to prevent telling the AI, hey, just don't do the stupid thing over and over and over?
Basically.
Yes. Using skills, and so the sub-agent here is really good because you can tell it what to do, what not to do. And then the skill is, hey, use this skill for this type of a problem. And then you can tell it what not to do, so you can bound it. All of those, hey, stupid AI, stop doing this thing, went away when I went to this pattern.
So you're just keeping these up to date every time you run into something the second or third time, you just add it to the skill of the sub-agent, so you don't have to say it again.
Claude does it for me. I tell it, hey, is there anything that you discovered when we're going through this particular problem that you need to add to your skills or your agents? And it will recommend something, and then I'll say yes or no, and then it'll update itself. So that way, I wouldn't say it's learning, but it's definitely...
It's recording its lesson.
Yeah, it's definitely taking into account the things that it's doing wrong,
Okay.
and then moving forward. So, great question, thank you. Okay, so real numbers. The setup cost to do 4 agents with Fluo was about 3 hours. I had 4 sub-agents and about 10 skills. Claude did most of the work. I had to tweak it just a little bit here and there to get my initial setup finished. So kind of what it prevented was 3 or 4 months of sandboxing, and then half a month of dark mode, all this other stuff that I would have been handwriting or arguing with Claude, because we would keep compacting the conversation. So Claude just keeps forgetting what we're talking about. That's one of the things that this really helps with, is keeping that context open for longer so that it can remember for longer. And then the compaction actually works better with this because it doesn't have to cram the entire context into it. It could just take pieces. So it helps a whole lot from that. So yeah, it could have saved me about 18 weeks. And the ROI, about 180 times using this. You could probably cut that by 10. So 18 to 20 times ROI on my time, which for using something that I'm paying, $100 a month, it's pretty valuable, I think. I can easily go in and test things out, try things out, and Claude gives me instant feedback. And then I can put it out there as a blog post or some other demo, and I can get feedback pretty quick. So I went from 75,000 tokens down to 1,700 tokens. That's 95% reduction in token usage. So basically, my context I can last. What is that? The conversation lasts a lot longer. Let's put it that way. So the waste prevented, sandboxing 12 weeks, dark mode 2 weeks, dozens of other similar situations. And then the really cool thing that I found was I was able to make decisions faster and stay focused at a proper level of abstraction to the product more often than getting into the weeds with Claude trying to fix code here and there. Because once we fixed a few things and had it update its own sub-agents and skills, it kind of just kept rolling and got better. So my decisions were in minutes and not days. And of course, I'm only doing this 2 hours a day. So the pattern works. Evaluate before execute in multiple perspectives from multiple sub-agents before writing even any code. So before you're building, asking, is it worth it? Is it worth building? You can set up a product manager sub-agent, give it a decision framework like RICE scoring, reach, impact, confidence, effort. And then when a feature request comes in, either in your own head or from a company you're working with, run the evaluation first. Get that sub-agent's perspective on customer value, opportunity cost, and strategic fit. And then you can decide whether to build it or not. You'll probably be shocked how many features would fail the test of even being a strategic fit. But every feature you don't build is time that you're saving for features that matter. So evaluate first and implement second. So, skills versus sub-agents. When do we use these things? So the purpose of a skill is for technical capabilities, scripts that you want it to use, You can give it little scripts or little tools, things that it can do things like work with the Microsoft SDK for MS Word. It can build Word documents. You can have it work with like PowerPoint and build presentations. So the purpose of skills is the technical capability. The sub-agent is more on the strategic perspective, at least in my design. Your sub-agent can do whatever you tell it to. So for me, it was strategic perspectives, and that helped a lot. So the question that the skills answer is, how do I implement this thing? While the sub-agent is, should we even build it? So some examples on the skill side is like the Nix HTTP server, OWASP security scanning. On the sub-agent side, we have product manager, tech lead, SREs, SecOps, those kinds of agents. And then what you could do is you could trigger with skills HTTP servers or webhooks, tasks, command line execution, that kind of thing. For the sub-agent, the trigger is more of a decision point. Like, do I do this or do I do that? Or can I have a conversation with multiple sub-agents? And then the output for the skill is going to be a code pattern or anti-pattern. It could be code, it could be documentation, could be structured data of some kind. Configuration for Kubernetes is a great example of an output of a skill. And then for the sub-agent, so let's say you had some scorecard around your application. You want to decide whether to go, no go. Do I deploy? Do I not? You can also do requirements gathering and risk assessment, that kind of thing. So skills are for how, and sub-agents are for should, or why, I guess. All right, 3 topics that we covered today. So context window economics, progressive disclosure scales. We get 95% token reduction. Next thing is skills and sub-agents. So skills is how to implement. You give them the tools, the hammers, the nails, and things. Sub-agents are, should we even build this thing? And they can have a conversation amongst each other. So preventing waste. Evaluate before execution. Multiple perspectives, catch mistakes early. And let's see here. Cool. So let's talk about the thing that we actually built, the Fluo DSL AST. A lot of letters, but basically it's just a custom domain-specific language that is highly restricted to just matching on spans. So without the sub-agents, we would have shipped this deprecated security manager, probably wasted time making it work. With the sub-agents, we turned about 30 minutes of evaluation from 4 perspectives into 3 days, basically in AI time. We had a really good security rating, so it's really hard to hack the DSL because it's crazy restricted. Prevented a lot of waste of time and tokens and cost with Anthropic. And the pattern scales. You can apply it to every single feature, every single architectural decision, every single refactor. Evaluate before execute. Get multiple perspectives before writing any code. So before I wrap it up, do you guys have any additional questions? Adam?
I got a couple. So one, are you configuring this globally per project, both?
You could do both. You can have kind of an organization level skill and sub-agent structure that you could share with developers, and then the developers can have their own inside the project or on their system, and then Claude Code can kind of mix them all together. So with me, I have a mono repo for Fluo, and I'll give you guys the link to that in a little bit. And it builds the front end, the back end, all the different things, and the skills and the sub-agents all work together on front end and back end together.
Do you find that you struggle with, I can't remember what you called it, progressive, what?
The decisioning?
The reduction of your context.
Yes, okay.
Do you ever find yourself asking one of the sub-agents to help you think through a problem, and maybe you're not providing them with enough background to make the right decision. Because that's been the struggle I've been having, is I'm taking up a lot of context simply on the background, the reasons I'm choosing the choices I'm making, the overall project mission, things like that influence decisions that get made. And I like what you've done. I think it's got a lot of promise for my project, but I'm concerned about losing some of that detail when I'm asking for a solution. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just overcautious. I don't know.
So for keeping it on track between compaction and where I'm using PRDs, basically tickets that are highly structured so that Claude can just consume them as needed. And I find that provides enough context to stay on track and not get sidetracked. When it comes to like doing research, I don't use Claude Code for that. I use t3.chat, and then I'll use whatever, like Gemini sometimes. Sometimes I use ChatGPT. It all depends. I just want something that'll search the web with me, and I can give it additional context. I can copy and paste PDFs and images and stuff and have it kind of give me opinions. And then what I do is I tell it, hey, this is going to be used by Claude Code, so give it, like if I end up building a skill, then I'll have it put it in that format. If I end up building a sub-agent that needs to have a perspective, I'll give it that format, or an ADR or a PRD. So depending on like what I'm researching and how Claude Code will use that information is the format I give it to it.
So I tried to do something similar, but I haven't used agents yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it all more personas.
Yeah.
So I've got an architect persona that helps me write the ADRs for the feature I'm wanting to build.
Mm-hmm.
And then a developer will turn that into a brief, which will be a more technical level of implementation, and then go on that route. But I like the idea of the sub-agents better because the personas don't always stay isolated.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get it to stop being one and start being another.
I had the same exact problem before I switched over to sub-agents and skills. I was doing ADRs and just agents, basically personas. And the ADRs would fill the context because I had to load everything, not just the metadata. And then the agents Claude wouldn't even use them. It wouldn't use the personas unless I specifically asked it to. So that was another problem that I had.
Yeah, I had to build workflows and tell it to read the workflows based on the persona you're instructing. I mean, it's working fairly well,
Mm-hmm.
but your way of doing this looks like I've got a lot of benefit to gain.
Yeah, this worked out so well, I couldn't help but put something together to share with you guys. I was expecting to talk on like, hey, use ADRs, right? But it just kept refreshing content or compacting context. I'm like, this kind of sucks. I don't really want to present this. Then it comes out with skills, and I try it, and now I don't hit that 40% left or 30% left for like 20, 30 minutes. And that's like going really deep into really specific things like, hey, let's see if I can come up with an example. Like doing integration testing with my front end and my back end using a specific persona. Like I'm an SRE, I'm in an incident, and I need you to find the error that I injected and then tell me how it felt. So doing something like that is really, really difficult for the AI to do, especially when you don't have a lot of context. But when you have that context space to work with, by using skills and sub-agents, it helps a ton. And plus, like having skills to be specific about helping that sub-agent do that testing is really cool. It speeds it up, it makes it more accurate, and then the value you get out of it is the perspective of the AI, and not just that it click buttons for you. So you get all that extra benefit. Go ahead.
Okay, I've never used Claude Code before, so I was just wondering how we structure structure? Like, what's the file structure? Is it like in a specific folder? And like, what does each skill have its own file? And would you name the skill
Sure.
file? Like, I'm just like wondering about the structure and the format.
Yeah, let me,
When you use Claude Code, you ask it to do it for you.
yeah, you could basically ask it to do it for you, which is pretty cool. All right, so it wants to, come on, get over here. And let's make you go into another area here. There. There we are. So this is going to be Fluo. And where's my goodies? Not in here. Yeah. Let me push that up real quick. Hopefully it doesn't complain about LFS again. There we go. Okay. All right. Skills, there we are. Make this a little bit bigger. So inside of skills, like we have different things in here. Each of these is a skill. So let's look at architecture, and we'll look at the skill itself. So let's look at the code, because the way that it renders is annoying. Actually, no, the way it renders is better. All right, so for the metadata we have up here on the top, that's validating architectural decisions against ADRs, ensure pure application framework patterns. This is basically because I don't have any like deployment opinions in the project. And then review code for architectural compliance. And then the purpose of it is basically to do all that and make sure that code changes align with established ADRs. So when to use the skill, and this is telling Claude when to use it. So load it when we're reviewing code changes that may impact architectural patterns, et cetera, or creating new ADRs or updating existing ones. And then here we have core architectural principles, and this is going to load in once the skill is completely saying like, yes, we're going to use this skill. So these are the do's and don'ts, like we're deployment agnostic, no Docker or Kubernetes in the core database, no cloud provider garbage. I have an ADR 15, that's the development workflow. Review checklist, like I want it to do all these things every single time. And one of the big things was this right here. Local development experience is preserved. So every time that it changes something architecturally, it has to run nix run dev, and it has to validate that it actually runs properly. So what this does is it runs process compose, and it runs all my services together, and it runs a smoke test. If that fails, then whatever it was trying to do gets rolled back or fixed. Yeah, no hard-coded deployment assumptions. And yes, I am talking about deployment a lot in here because it tried to do Kubernetes this and Docker compose that. Because I think in the AI training, it has a ton of that kind of stuff in there. So you kind of have to slap it around a little bit. Yeah, and then like SRP followed, clear separation of concerns, quality standards, all this kind of stuff. And these are the key ADRs that has to really pay attention to. Yeah, and then progressive disclosure. This is the thing I've been talking about. So this skill provides high-level guidance for detailed architectural content. Do these three things. So that way it can load additional things into context if it needs to. So I think that answers your question from earlier.
Only if it's using this skill.
Yes.
So that context basically disappears if it's not using that skill.
Well,
Which, I mean, that's a good thing.
yeah.
It cleans up after itself, basically.
Right. Skills are kind of sandboxed in their own execution, and then once they're done, they're kind of thrown away. So that context goes away. So does that help?
Yeah, just so as you have a dot skill in the dot stuff, do you have to like write like in some other file, say to Claude to look at these files, to look at these folders?
Nope. Claude knows.
Okay.
But if you look at Claude here,
This is your main file.
you can, yeah, this is the Claude MD and the project root. And you can tell Claude everything about your project in here. In here, I'm calling out agent skills specifically because I don't ever want it to forget. Because it did forget about my global agents. So this was before I really understood skills. I don't think you need to do this, but it helps. Yeah, this was another real. This one here was completely written by Claude to write and validate FluoDSL because it kept trying to write Python again.
Because Python is superior to Java.
Well,
Python is what people who train models use to
yeah,
train models.
right. Python doesn't really have types, so you could take that and shove it. Yeah, it's my same gripe with TypeScript, and I'm working on a full stack TypeScript, so we'll see how long that lasts. Yeah, any other questions on the skills and sub-agent stuff? Go ahead.
So do you have to like, be assertive to say like use the compliance skill to look at if this new feature is SOC 2 compliant, whatever, or does it kind of like switch by itself here? Like, how much guidance do you need to give it when you're kind of doing this?
Not a whole lot. I just say, hey, this is the problem I'm working on. This is the feature I want to implement. Sometimes I tell it, I want you to use this service and this front end piece and hook them together. And then it just kind of figures out like what skills do I need, what sub-agents do I need to talk to. Sometimes I'll say, hey, get with the team and tell me what you want to do next. And then it looks at the backlog of PRDs. It looks at the scores of different things. Like it keeps an internal scorecard of the state of the project. And it just gives me a good suggestion on what to do next. Sometimes it gives me 3 and I pick one. But the value I think is, hey, talk to your team and come to me with an opinion. So the sub-agents get together and do their thing and tell me what they think. They don't really think, but you know what I mean.
Last question. So is the sub-agents and skills some component built into Claude that it understands these?
Yes.
Or, okay. So it's not like just purely context or you driving its thinking. These are actually kind of like short-circuited in Claude somewhere.
Yes. These are Claude Code features.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
On top of that, so the Claude Code features, Anthropic has a fantastic history of creating open standard. Is it part of a standard that other tools can use, or is it just specifically a Claude Code?
It just came out, but I have a feeling that it's going to be standardized. It's too good not to do it.
Next question. So, design, a lot of chit chat back and forth, right? Preferably a lot of control. The actual implementation and review of the implementation, and well, when Claude doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and somebody finds it, an agent identifies that Claude didn't do what it's doing, then Claude has to be right. How much of that is automated? How much of that is manual?
It depends. The way I have it right now, it's about 90% automated, and it works 90% of the time. I have to go in every once in a while. I kind of look over because I got my work stuff going on, and I'm just screwing around with Claude over here. And when I look over there and I see it say Python, or I see it say just something that's a little strange, or I see an entire directory disappear, I'm like, hey, that you shouldn't be doing that. Because AI will delete your stuff every once in a while. So another thing is like, make sure every single change, there's a git commit for it, and do not let it delete git history. So as long as you do those 2 things, you're pretty safe.
Because I'm using another tool, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, it works with Claude Code as well. It basically, like, its job is like, okay, we're going to come up with a plan, and this is like, I'm trying to find some automated way to do this, where, like, it knows what's supposed to happen. And it tells the coding agent, go code it. And then when it says, coding agent, I'm done. He's like, no, you're not. You screwed up this part. Go fix it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've been trying
And
to.
then Claude goes, and then I use, I use Cursor, but it's like, so it goes and fixes it. It's like, I'm done now. Nope, here's these other things. But for me right now, it's a manual process where it comes back and like, okay, here are the things I found that are problematic. What do you want to do about it?
Yeah.
Well, I want you to fix it.
Right.
I don't
Right.
want to, like, I don't want to have to sit here, right, and babysit you so that, like, oh, you've got a question that the obvious answer is there are, like, high, medium, it's got, like, high, medium, low.
Yeah.
You've got 5 high problems. Just tell the freaking thing to fix it because
Yeah.
you know it's not acceptable. So like, I'm trying to get into this, like, my long-term problem, and I was hoping, I think this you give me some of the way that I'm there, right, is that I need to have a nanny for whatever's writing code. Like, no. Here's what I told you to do. This is what you did. Now go do what I told you to do.
Right.
And sometimes it'll get, like, I know what you say, like the 10%, like sometimes 10%, it just can't, like, do it because no matter how many times I tell it, no matter how much I spell it out, no matter how many words I use, it's still not going to actually do what I want to do. I've got to go ahead and fix something.
Yeah.
Because it can't figure out how to do composition for
Right.
whatever reason, right? It's like, I don't want to do it that way. No. I specifically told you to do it this way.
Yeah.
It's around typing in Python about multiple inheritance and generics, right? Like the AI just doesn't get generics, doesn't get multiple inheritance. So like no matter what I try to
Mine
tell
does
it,
great with generics, but it's probably because I'm using Java, a
right,
real
Java,
language.
yes, Python, nobody uses generics except for libraries.
Yeah.
And very few libraries actually use generics. And
Yeah,
you
well-
also have to be like on Python 13 plus.
Yeah. When I'm doing that, it's usually because I'm building a specific pattern that I want enforced throughout the entire application, and that usually is around Apache Camel Exchange stuff, because this is an Apache Camel application. I clocked over 10,000 IOPS on this laptop doing trace scoring, basically. So I thought that was pretty good with Java.
The problem was I was trying to build something generic. Like we always like, I need to build something that's generic, a queue consumer, but that queue consumer needs to be able to have an implementation for SQS, but the SQS needs additional metadata. So now I've got a different type that I have to pass around.
Right.
That's that type, and somebody's generics, and like it just couldn't figure it out. And no matter how much I explained it and gave it the page and the instructions, like it just could not figure it out. So.
Sometimes what helps is I give it the implementation and multiple examples of these are the implementations I want. I want you to build a generic for those, and then it's pretty good. However, if you have TLA plus and you do that, or something like that's a systems design language, it works almost every time. It's like, hey, validate it against this definition.
Yeah, I think the problem is that it has JavaScript the same thing. It has so many bad examples of Python and JavaScript of how to do the exact same thing in a really poor way that it just defaults to that. It's so overwhelmingly trained to do it the wrong way that it just like if you try to have it write a React application that actually is proper and keeps the cake the right way, it just doesn't want to do that.
No, it doesn't. That's why I told it, like, you're using TanStack, so focus only on the TanStack documents or documentation, because that's the only one that's canonical. I found Go is a really good language for AI because there's really only one way to do things in Go until you get into like concurrency and stuff. But Go's really good. Zig is really good. The lower level languages are pretty good. Don't touch C++ with a 10-foot pole because it's going to write some really crazy stuff. Rust, it does okay. JavaScript, it'll probably work, but then you're going to be fixing bugs. TypeScript, I just try to ignore it as much as I possibly can. But with TanStack, it's not too bad. As long as it's got good documentation, it's pretty okay.
But you can't really do typing in JavaScript.
No, you don't do typing. I don't do typing in JavaScript. I don't. But I do in, yeah, I'm using TypeScript with my front end on this. So,
As you should.
I've
Yeah.
had a lot of success with TypeScript on Claude. It's been fairly consistently good at suggesting decent code. Having said that, I'm not a full-time developer anymore, so maybe I'm missing some of that stuff. But,
Like when I found out that particular situation, because I'm using Anthropic model, right? So it's the same kind of basic stuff. But it does really well at writing
like for us, as an example, our build pipeline builds the Docker image for our web application, pushes it up to GitLab's container registry, and then because we're going into GovCloud, we have to take a couple extra hops to get that image then pushed up into AWS GovCloud. But our production web server is pulling that image we built in our GitLab pipeline from the local registry and deploying it out to the production server.
You have to stick it in ACR?
What's that?
You have to stick it in ACR?
No, we're using ECR.
Okay.
But it's 3 steps to get there.
Yeah, I get it.
God bless acronyms.
Amazon's got lots of them.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep up with them. When he said ADR, I had to look it up. I didn't even know what that meant.
Architecture, design.
I could do decisions.
Decision
Registry.
This is okay.
So anyway,
I believe you.
Why are we designing this thing this way? That's what ADR is. It's like,
Why were they okay? Like a
What
project spec?
solving and how are you planning to do some solution high level stuff?
Oh, okay, cool.
like, from an architectural perspective, like these are the things that we were looking at. This is why we chose this one and not these. And this is how we're going to implement moving forward.
Interesting. Those were just whiteboard sessions back in the day, I guess. Yeah.
for the last 10, 15 years, we've been saving those as decision logs. Even if you just take a picture of the whiteboard.
It got so bad. We had an office where it was an entire whiteboard. They just put all wallpaper of whiteboard in the office.
But if you
And they screwed up.
You would put it on there because you couldn't actually get it off.
Yeah, whatever it was, like if you didn't take it off quick enough, like you would wipe it off, but you would see the ghost of it still there, sort of thing, you know? Yeah, exactly,
They
yeah.
didn't smooth the wall properly, so it could be like you couldn't.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll show you 2 more things and we'll call it. But this is, so let's take the whole orchestration, the Docker Compose, like let's put Compose to the side. Now we're just talking Docker, like a single container, like one container, right? So this is where the single Docker command comes into play. That Docker file we just had, we can build it. And the way we would build it is we would run Docker build. And so here, I actually give it a name. So this is like a tag. I say, call it OG programmer, Docker PHP example. It names it, and then I can version it. I just put latest, but you could put V1 or 1.0 or whatever here, right? Typically, the period at the end, I think I just say local. Yeah,
I'm saying for the tag. If you don't put a tag, it'll just make it where the directory is.
Oh, well, I think I've always put latest here.
I mean, like at all. If you didn't put a -t. If you don't put latest, it will default to latest. But if you don't put T, I think it just defaults to the directory that you're in.
Oh, it just names it whatever the directory?
Will be whatever directory.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So going off on the Docker file, you might want to be careful about like the layers and caching. If you're trying to pull something that's like changing rapidly, because it'll cache the data for like say if you're downloading a video on each one of the ads right there, it'll cache it and put it in the layer cache. But let's say like you have a video editor, work on the video, it would try to pull it from the cache first. So
you might get incompatible layers.
yeah. So if you pull it from your local machine, it will just be like not updated.
Are you saying like trying to collapse the layers is what you're trying to get at, or?
No, just for her since she's not Docker that well. That if you have those, let's just say it's like downloading a video again, and like the video is being edited, on the ad lines, what the first time it'll do it, it'll download the video, and then it'll be on your machine as like a cache. So if you try to build a whole image again, it'll have that cache right there, and then pull from your local machine instead of like getting the true like updated video.
Got it. Right.
I think what you're saying is that the most stable, unchanging things put first in the Docker file, and then as you go down, they can change more often. So that
The
way
thing
you
we say is if
optimize
you try
your
to pull
cache.
something, and the words on the line don't change, it will just use whatever it had last.
But
Yeah.
that's why he added no cache to
Right.
build. No cache eliminates that cache. It pulls everything.
That doesn't happen a lot.
Not a lot.
Yeah, it's not a common scenario that people run into a lot. But yeah, like, because it's just checking to see, like, did this line change, no?
Yeah.
Then it's cached already. So if you said, like, add this thing, but the file has changed, it
So-
may or may not know.
I don't use Dockerfile to build Docker images anymore, and I'd love to talk about it at some point, but I don't want to confuse it.
Yeah, I just, I mean, this is probably going a little bit advanced, but it's interesting because like even like those images we saw with, what was it called? Penpot. If we actually like dive into these, there's a way that we can actually see what the image is doing underneath the hood, but I forgot how to do that. Where? I think that's like a different site, huh?
Yeah, you should be able to see, like, go into tags.
Tags? Is it tags?
Yeah, go into tags first.
Let's do this one, maybe? No.
On the top left.
Hmm?
Yeah, go into
Oh,
tags.
this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can click on
Like-
latest.
This.
There. Manifest.
Hey, you rock, Scott. Okay. Yeah, so like all those images, it's just like a Docker file underneath the hood, really. Like the stuff we were just talking about.
magic.
They're doing this is what they're doing too. So they're starting, I guess, I don't know what image they're using, I guess. It doesn't really say like
Those
it's
are
inheriting.
arguments, where's the
Yeah.
original from? Yeah.
It's probably, maybe that's like kind of, oh, well that switches based on the infrastructure or whatever, doesn't it? Anyway,
I guess it's from, is it from scratch? Or?
I mean, it says Linux AMD 64, but that's not the image, it's inherent. I mean,
Docker file doesn't change based on the architecture.
Yeah.
yeah, anyway. Oh, see, even senior developers don't know everything. Yeah. But yeah, so there's these commands. Add basically will take a file on your system and add it into the container. So it just copies it. That's what he was talking about. You have to be worried about cache because if this file name never changes and you change this file, it'll never get updated there. So you have to like force it saying rebuild it like from scratch. Don't look at cache. And then you can run commands. There was one I showed earlier called run. There's environment variables you can set, all that good stuff. But anyway, I guess the last thing I'll show is just like the push one, and then we'll call it. And then like once you actually build your container, this is how you can push it up to Docker Hub. So you can still use that Docker command. You can say push. It'll default to Docker Hub because we didn't specify a container registry. And then we just say, here's the name of the image I want to push up to Docker Hub. You need to pre-register this though, but yeah. Yeah, cool. Does that answer? Did you have a question? Anybody have we could dive into with Docker? Yeah.
Why would I Docker Swarm?
Docker Swarm.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, I've
If you had a very specific use case.
Docker Swarm. I'm trying to remember what was that their kind of like answer to Kubernetes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the orchestration competitor Kubernetes?
That came out before Kubernetes, or
Yes, but it was terrible.
it sucked though, right?
Kubernetes
Yeah.
exists because Docker Swarm exists.
Okay. So it was that bad?
Well, no. Before that, before all of those was Mesos, Marathon, and Zookeeper.
Okay. Zookeeper, I remember that one. Yeah, Zookeeper rings a
You wanna talk
bell.
about nightmare?
Yeah. Sweet.
Sorry, you got a bunch of old guys in the room.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be that old. Like that was only like 8 or 9 years ago. Before like nobody used Docker. Like we were so early with Docker in production that we saw Docker at PyCon. We're like, oh hey, yeah, we use you guys. Like, what do you use this for? It's like, yeah, we got your production stuff. They're like, you're running this in production? Can we get a blog article? That's when we're like, ooh, maybe we're too soon.
Yeah.
It was a right?
Have you ever heard of a guy named Nick Skoll from the downtown days? Nick Skoll, okay. So somebody reached out to me from Apple. They used to be involved with all the downtown Las Vegas stuff back in the day. And they wanted to do a meetup at UNLV on December 3rd or 4th. Anyway, they have 2 speakers from Apple that are coming down. And they asked if anybody here wants to speak at it. So open invite. If nobody wants to speak, I'll just
Speak about what?
talk about, yeah. So they want to talk about Swift, and they want to like, they're trying to push Swift to like build anything and everything, it sounds like. Like, I think Swift is mainly for like mobile apps, right? But they want to like push it for building other stuff, I guess. So I guess that's one of the talks. I don't know what the other talk's about, but.
I was going to say, you're going to be either before or after Apple people speaking on quote unquote stage. I wouldn't volunteer for that, but now that I know that they're speaking on Swift, you know.
They're just DevRels.
You might actually just.
DevRels are
be
DevRels.
more
It doesn't matter who they work for.
successful.
I mean, my question would be, I might. Who am I speaking to and about what?
You can
Yeah.
talk on Objective-C and why we should use it.
Which is hilarious because I was just about to say like, what's the contrarian version of the why use Swift for everything talk, right? Yeah. I enjoyed Objective-C. I remember building an iPad app for a convention, and I put like this secret Easter egg where you tapped on the thing a certain amount of times. And I went up to their booth like years later, and it was still in there. I was like, yes. It played like an audio. I think I recorded something like, I know I said something silly or something. Anyway, our next meetup, November 18th. I know we're getting into the holidays and stuff, so I'm sure attendance is going to be kind of falling around, but well, I'm sure we'll get back into the swing of things. Like I said, jump on Vegas Programmers, because I somehow lost the other one. Get in the Discord. Thank you.
Just don't need to.
I don't need to. You know, a part of me, I'm like, you know what, whatever. But still, it's just more of.
He's dead. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, he moved, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was old.
He's dead now.
No, he's dead.
No, he actually is
He is
legitimately
dead.
dead.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
The
Seriously?
guy that started it is not anybody you've ever met.
Oh, no shit. Okay. Wow.
Does anybody ever explain
How
what
was it? I
happens
can't
when
remember
you
his
die?
This is no. I thought he was joking, but like,
No,
so
he was
so
older
you're
guy.
saying like the meetups are now generational? Like, damn. I do feel old now.
This guy Steve, like he started the Las Vegas Developers Group. Like it didn't meet regularly. Then it started meeting regularly. But then he moved to the Keys, like retired to the Keys.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then like 10 years later, like he passed.
Wow. Okay. So then Mike took it over, and then Mike gave it to me when he
Mike took
moved,
it over
sort of
from,
thing.
I think either me or he was like the fourth owner.
That's a part of why I was pissed losing it, because like I would rather give it to someone who's actually going to use it.
Like,
There's
honestly-
4,000 users on there.
Sure, it's a mailing list. That's why Mike got it.
Yeah. We have, well, I mean, we have half on here, but anyway, my point is don't look at that one because I have no idea what's going to happen over there. So get on this. Thank you to Cooper Co-working for providing us this awesome space. And we are still looking for sponsors and stuff like that. I know that there's a couple of job openings. You mentioned one. Do you know David Maple, by the way?
Yeah.
He's looking for a job. I don't know. I'll link you up with him.
He just connected with me on LinkedIn. Haven't talked to him in a very long time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just told him that you were looking, but he's looking.
Really a soft launch with a death roll.
We got an AI team, so he might be good on that.
Yeah, he was talking about all this stuff, I remember a while ago, so I'm sure he's on the up and up with it. Let's
Steve
see.
Winston, that was his name. Oh yeah, you remember Steve? Yeah. He's the guy who started Las Vegas.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm forgetting something, but whatever. Oh, I guess next month's talk. Anybody have anything they would like to share for next month's talk? I know we do have something, someone's gonna do one in January, I think, but November and December are still open. So.
I don't know if we make sure I'm here.
And you had some other topics too, but I don't know if it'll work on your schedule if you want to do one like not next month, but maybe in December or something like that.
Yeah, I can do a next talk anytime. We can talk about like 5 ways to build Docker images. We can do all sorts of stuff like that if you want.
Okay.
7 hours ago? I mean, unless he died in the last 7 hours.
What's the way to post stuff? I'll tell you.
Because like, we could do like Bazel versus Nix versus
That's creepy.
Docker
You didn't-
file versus like Scopio's another one, and there's something else.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Like different ways to build. I like that talk. Cool. I guess Does anyone want to volunteer? Come on, Rick. I know you got some stuff you want to talk about.
I know Xander has some stuff. He wants
Xander? That's a voluntold situation right there.
What is the date of the next one?
November 18th?
I'm sick that day.
I blame you guys. I know we're getting in the holiday season and
Yeah,
stuff,
no,
so
I
it's
can
going to be
do,
rough. But
I can do an agentic AI talk.
for November?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. That'd be awesome.
Because what I